Hey everybody, my name is Marcel Irnie, IrnieracingNews, December 22nd, 2023. Today we're diving into Chrystia Freeland being grilled by CTV, of all news mainstream media, CTV. This Vasi is actually, saying, hey, you're not answering the question. This is my question, repeat. And Chrystia Freeland, we all have watched her over the last many years. Double talk, no answer, double talk. It's the playbook of her and Trudeau and Gilbert and all these lunatics. So let's just get into it right here.
Optimism and love for Canada, like a deep conviction that I heard from so many different people in so many different places, that Canada is the best country in the world, and I totally share that.
Not anymore.
I also heard real frustration and real anxiety, and people really challenged with the cost of living, people challenged with high prices, people challenged with high interest rates, people concerned about the future, concerned about climate change, concerned about how does Canada respond to these big issues. And that is what our government has come into this parliamentary session totally determined to do. And that's what you saw in this legislation. You saw long-term answers. The GST on purpose-built rental.
Right, which you first promised in 2015. With great respect, I take your point on what you came to realize.
Bam! First promised in 2015. Good reply. It's like, okay, it's 2023. Now you're what? Why are you doing something now?
Came to realize this summer and what you heard this summer. But you can't sincerely mean that you just started to hear that in the summer. There have been price issues that Canadians have dealt with, cost of living issues that Canadians dealt with for months upon months upon months, the interest rates as well. For months, I also heard you say, we are going to do targeted measures. That's what we feel is the appropriate response. We don't feel we can do anything more than that. And now all of a sudden, the government can intervene to lower grocery store prices, which Canadians have been dealing with for well over a year. Can you understand how some Canadians might feel it's disingenuous and more of a response to sinking poll numbers than to the realities they face in their life?
So I would say, Vashi, actually you're comparing apples and oranges there, because the targeted measures were about direct financial support to Canadians. And that...
Like the $200 food rebate for only certain Canadians to make up for the $10,000 cost of food for every Canadian.
Direct financial support did have to be targeted. We as a government did not believe, and we do not believe, it would be appropriate to send checks to every single Canadian to deal with the cost of living.
Sure, because you could have called the grocers to the table a year ago.
We know that would have been a vicious cycle. And we have been working on and putting in place long-term and meaningful solutions that are helping people today. Early learning and childcare is a great example. Childcare fees down 50%.
Okay, let's stop Chrystia Freeland right there. She just wants to talk about what she wants to talk about. Ooh, $10 a day daycare. That's the solution to high interest rates, impossible mortgages, people losing their homes, people can't even afford rent, people can't afford food. People can't afford to drive to work. People aren't getting paid enough at work because your inflation tax is 50 to 100%, and nobody's income is raising 50 to 100%, except for your own income that you guys vote on and raising your income every couple of years. All right, let's move over to another one. This one, I've been unable to find the original story, and you can say this Jay's Girl 44 shared on TikTok. And then we have Moose on the Loose that I just came across here. He's doing the news as well. This video has been really popular on his channel, 202,000 views almost from December 1st. So let's take a look at Freeland getting beat up. She's actually getting a little beat up this time. It's even more entertaining. Sorry about the audio quality. I don't know what's going on with it.
Today, and we're just going to keep on building.
I'm going to push back respectfully on the idea that those measures collectively are really significant, because I'm even listening to the numbers that you're putting out there about what each individual measure will generate. 30,000 on tens of thousands, maybe at the end of the day, as the housing minister said in an interview last week with us, hundreds of thousands of homes. The CMHC says there needs to be 3.5 million new units constructed above and beyond what's already planned by 2030 in order to restore affordability. What you're proposing doesn't even come close. So again, the criticism that you're hearing from the opposition is this won't help me with the problem now.
Again, I just disagree. Each one of these measures, and I listed
You're going to hear Chrystia Freeland, I disagree, a lot. That's her only response. She doesn't know what to say when somebody tells her truth. And she's like, well, I'm going to disagree because this is how our globalists want to go forward. So I'm going to disagree with your assessment, even though it's right. And this is what we're doing. Continuing.
For serious measures that are in the fall economic update right now,
And they
come on top
400,000.
of more than that, because these are year after year after year, and they come on top of significant measures that we announced this fall, and we're just going to keep on going. Also about things like the first home savings account. 250,000, more than 250,000 Canadians have opened a first home savings account. So, you know, to me, what that shows is
250,000 Canadians have opened a first-time savings account. I mean, 250,000 kids are going from like 16 to 17, and their parents take them over to your local credit union and start a savings account. Doesn't mean there's any money in there. Doesn't mean people have money to save. This is quite interesting how she's like, see, Canadians are saving money. They have plenty of money. See, they opened savings accounts, 250,000 out of the 40.5 million that now has been led into Canada.
is Canadians, many Canadians want to buy a home, they believe in it, and they're glad that there is a way for them to save up for that home.
Sure, those 250.
Sure. I can definitely, I'm going to save up $2 million for a home in Kelowna, BC, or even $1.5 million. Oh yeah, I'm really working at that at my 20, 30, 40, 50, $60 an hour. It's going to get me to $2 million. $2 million! I mean, you guys keep spending $2 billion every month, but you know, this is millions. This used to be the lottery. It used to be a lottery to win like $1 million. Now $1 million won't even, you win the lottery, what are you going to do with it? Well, I'm going to put it towards a home.
250,000 for sure, but there are hundreds of thousands of other Canadians who are constantly reaching out to us saying, we have a job, we have two incomes, and we still cannot afford a home. And I'm going to again push back, because I know you're saying you disagree with the assessment that what you're doing won't meet the moment and how acute the crisis is. But again, 30,000 for Airbnb, 30,000 for the other measure you announced. I know you're doing something. I'm not trying to intimate that you aren't.
Here, this is, you know, she's trying to not be too mean, which is ridiculous. That's the CTV, but I wonder why I couldn't find this video too. It's almost like, why is the audio? There must have been background filmed or whatever. It was filmed from the TV, but it's, yeah. Oh, you got a little, you know, a little incentive here, a little incentive there. Still, it's a $2 million home. Again, back to what I said earlier. You win $1 million lottery. It's like, what are you going to do with that? I'm going to put it towards my mortgage. I'm going to pay off half my mortgage.
But it does not even come close to 3.5 million. Will it ever?
Again, I just respect, again, like, thank you for your question. Really important.
This is typical Freeland double talk, delay. She's delaying as she's trying to figure out her skew or her lie, how she's going to manipulate to not answer the question. She always takes these pauses and, I thank you for the question.
Important question, really important issue. And I think the point is, we have been investing in housing since we formed government. We have been taking urgent action this fall with really meaty measures. Lifting the GST on purpose-built rental alone is a game changer.
But you promised that almost 7 years ago.
And
Bam! But you promised to do this 7 years ago. And they're acting like, you know, they don't do their promises. It's just, so good job, this woman, for finally a mainstream media actually asking it. Because Chrystia Freeland will never interview with any other media, any independent media. No, hell no.
And now it is in place, and it is making a real difference.
But it's in place now, even though we promised this 8 years ago.
The other measure that
when you first promised it, though, and did your government's inability to see the crisis as it was developing lead to less effective impacts on what you're doing?
I just disagree. I think the reality is Canada is a growing country. We are so lucky in the G7 that we actually...
Canada is a growing country. 430,000 people were increased Canada last month, 430,000 people. That's not a good thing. This is not a good thing. You're ruining our country. We cannot build houses to actually, for the original Canadians, of the original 40 million Canadians, and as you continue to let in 400,000+ immigrants every year. But now you think, oh, that's awesome. I like how she takes something bad and makes it good.
That we actually have a growing population. That is a huge economic advantage.
But the first part of my question, you said you disagree with, but you didn't really answer it. And that is, for example, when you talk about removing the GST, that is something that your own party in a couple elections ago recognized as necessary to address the issues with housing at the time, but you didn't pursue it. Why was your government, why did it take until this fall to act with the urgency that you now characterize your actions as?
Again, what I would say on housing, and I think Canadians understand this, is there is no silver bullet. There is no one measure that is going to respond to the housing needs of Canadians. And meeting the housing challenge is going to be something that we're going to have to do every day, every week, every month going forward.
Something we're going to have to deal with every day, every month going forward, but not 7 years ago. No. We're not doing our promises back then.
Because we're really lucky. We're a growing country. So if we
Yeah, I'm not trying to take away that. But a couple months ago, the Prime Minister was saying it's not our primary responsibility.
What we believe and what we have been demonstrating is that housing is something we all have to work on together. So there's like tons of things we have to do.
And I'm not trying to take away from the complexity of it, but I'm also putting myself in the shoes of Canadians. Like so many people, you and I both know. But I'm lucky enough to have bought a house before it was really expensive. And so I can afford it now, but there are a lot of people who can't. And I'm just thinking of them watching tonight and thinking, will I have a better ability in the near future to be able to afford a home? And really, because of the delay with which your government introduced all this stuff, which may end up working really well, it won't for a few more years.
And there, I just disagree, because part of what is happening.
So you think tomorrow somebody or the next few months will have an easier ability to afford a home?
Part of what is happening right now is programs that we announced in earlier years are landing and are making a difference.
But the debt servicing costs, because that's going to generate a lot of headlines. It increases in this document to $60 billion. And I think we were just talking.
$60.7 billion of servicing debt. At what percentage now is the bank's lending? So before it was 1.7, 1.5, up to 2. Now it's 7. What is prime? 7.5% plus the variable of another 2. Like if you want to go borrow money from your bank, it's like 7% plus the variable on top of that. Yeah, insane in the membrane. And again, not answering any questions. Should we keep going just a little bit more?
Talking about in the last segment, if I had to spend a lot of money of my disposable income just paying off my credit card, it's a lot less for other important programs that your government wants to pursue. Are you going to do anything to mitigate that number in the interim?
Well, I think we are, Vashi. I mean, the first question you asked me was, and kind of continue to ask me appropriately, was, are you doing enough? Are you doing enough? Are you investing enough? And then your second question is, are you doing too much? Or are you spending too much?
Well,
two different subjects.
I'm asking the issue of affordability versus other things you're spending, like 30% increase in the size of public service.
But those issues are connected, right?
Those issues are connected. It's like, oh yeah, during the cost of living, everything is increasing because of the debt is increasing because they keep spending money on things that don't matter, like Ukraine, not matter for us. And you're just supporting the military industrial complex. Actually, it matters for you because you want the world to reset. You want everybody to be poor and not survive and not have food. But the cost of living is increasing because everything costs more to buy. It costs 2 times as much to buy an RV. It costs 2 times as much to buy a house. It costs 2 times as much to go buy meat at the grocery store or bread or fruit or raspberries, whatever. Products, everything costs money. It costs way more money to get fuel. It costs way more money to ship things around. And that's because you made our dollar worthless by printing yourselves money into the digital system and then buying these stupid bonds with your digital money to invest money into to create money. Do your money printing. You are creating fake money, and it's It's a tax on everybody. Thank you very much, Chrystia Freeland. Anyways, guys, Marcel Irnie Racing. One more snippet, and then we're out of here.
Right? Our investments are what makes we have a fiscally responsible plan, and we have a fiscally responsible plan in order to be able to invest in Canadians. But we know we need to invest in Canadians.
All right, we'll stop it right there. Just ridiculous, ridiculous.
Today, Trudeau is saying he's going to run 3 small deficits in order to inject stimulus into the economy. How is this different from what you did in 2008 to respond to the economic crisis at that time?
Well, obviously we faced a major global financial meltdown in 2008, 2009, not just the drop in economic activity, but the effective freezing and collapse of a significant part of the global financial sector. My economic training tells me that's actually the time when you do run a deficit. When you have modest growth, we have modest growth this year, we will have modest growth, you don't return the country into deficit. And Trudeau's deficits will not be small. Mr. Trudeau has made tens of billions of dollars of spending promises. He said the budget will balance itself. He has no idea what he is talking about when it comes to these things. That's why you could be sure that his small deficits will become large deficits and would get Canada into the same pickle of high taxes and program cuts that we had under the last Liberal government.
Stephen Harper predicted it at the 2015 debate. Spending, 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 huge amounts of money, just a tiny deficit that turns into the biggest deficit of all time, $60.6 billion, and growing, guys. And we have record crazy inflation. Good job, Trudeau and your fucking lackeys. Irnieracing News.